Okay, guys, I realize this may actually be a bit strange, but frankly, I think it's about time I took a break from all the intros and gave Jackie a break. Even though Megs is just getting his start on my channel, I feel like him and Jackie both deserve better, and not my laziness. So from here on, so until I have enough money to get myself a better editing computer, I'm just gonna stick with just recording the review straight and then throwing the video on. So yeah, and custom thumbnails are back, so I can now finally do my videos the way I intend to, where you get a nice picture of the figure and then you see the review. But anyways, with all that said, this is BC. I completely screwed that up. Sorry about that. What's up, guys? BC coming back at you guys with another Transformers video review. This time we're taking a look at Transformers Age of Extinction Leader Class Optimus Prime. I did not do any paint work to this because I feel this one really didn't need it. Now, let's get this out of the way first. I really dig this truck as a toy. In the actual movie, I utterly despise the way this looks. It's way too big. It's way too blue. Just, these don't look right on it. And it's just, I don't really care for it. I just don't. But here, as a toy, I really, really dig it. You know, like, he's got the shield attached to the back, the sword on the bottom. You know, that's pretty much how I typically assumed the weapons were going to store. You know, it's a little disappointing, but, you know, what else could you do? It's not like I was expecting transforming weapons. You hear that? You hear that, Hasbro? Transforming weapons. Get on it. Anyways, there really isn't much in the robot mode or in the truck mode to really talk about. It's a nice little, okay, by little I mean really beefy and large. It's a big, beefy, large truck that just it looks really, really nice, and I happen to really, really dig it as a toy. Again, in real life, I utterly despise the way this looks. But that's a story for another day. As far as how he's supposed to look in vehicle mode or in robot mode, we're actually just about to get into that. But I figured I might as well show him off. Well, I wanted to show him off size-wise with another figure. So here is High Octane Bumblebee, which you can see that's actually pretty accurate in scale when it comes to the vehicle modes. I feel scale-wise for the vehicle modes, spot on. Spot on. And I will be having a review of him recorded in no time, don't worry. So with that said, let's get him into his bot mode. And how we do that is actually pretty simple. So first things first, we're going to pop off the shield. This is the only weapon we really need to pop off, because we can also just as easily, leave that there. And, transforming him is quite simple. All you really got to do is, come up here, get this, and just kind of lift that up, split these, and just kind of pull them out to the side like that. And unplug the whole backpack, fold it up, slide the wheels in, then take it by the sword, and then kind of fold this up to where it does the whole sideways You'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. Anyways, you kind of split these pieces. You gotta split the front of the truck like this. Bring the arms up like that. Then straighten out the legs. And just rotate them at the waist. And now focusing on the legs. This is actually really cool how the legs transform. So I'm gonna try my best to get this in shot, but basically you push this out, rotate it around like this, and then you rotate this whole piece like, why didn't there we go. That didn't deploy at first. But yeah, when you rotate this around, this little spring-loaded panel pops up to fill in the gap. This whole piece rotates around. This wheel well flips around to where the flames are facing the front. Then you flip the leg, then you flip the foot out. And that's a really neat element of transformation. I really, really dig that, especially for an Optimus transformation. It's really, really nice. So, you know, yeah, again, do the same thing for the other leg. And kind of flip this around. And then you'll stand them up. So we can now kind of rotate this up and kind of adjust the camera so that we can see him better. Alright, now straighten out his arms. Now, I'm not going to, well, okay, before I get into that, split these off like that, kind of fold these back in, and then fold them down to where they're on his legs. Flip down his front waist cover, straighten out his arms, split these two top pieces, and then bring them down over his shoulders. This isn't working. You can barely see what I'm doing. So let's get all this other stuff out of the way so that I may adjust the camera a bit better. There we go. Oh, now for here, I'm gonna try to do this without this. But basically, when you fold this down, it'll pop his head up. And that's what usually happens. The famous head pop gimmick. Made by Bolt Matrix. Because why the hell not? But with that said, we now have Age of Extinction Leader Class Optimus Prime in robot mode. Getting in close here, we can actually see he's actually a really nice looking robot. Like, yeah, he's not nearly as sleek and slender as he is in the movie. Like, just he doesn't look nearly as athletic and almost knight-like like he does in the movie. But, I mean, like, look at how the truck transforms from a really big, beefy truck into a very sleek robot. And then try and turn that into a toy. You're bound to have some form of kibble. Or at least panels galore, you know, like, just, you can't make that into a perfect figure. Like, it's not the second, like P.R. said, it's not the second coming of the Revenge of the Fallen Leader Class Optimus Prime. That is an amazing figure, which I will be comparing him to this in a minute. Because, frankly, I just really didn't get around to doing it yet. And I wanted to you know, record my reaction to how different or how pretty close or whatever. But yeah, the shield pegs onto a peg hole on his left arm, which is strange. I kind of get why they didn't put a second one on his right arm. But at the same time, I kind of feel like it's a cop-out. But yeah, the sword, you basically can open up the thumb, and there's a little slot in here, and there's a tab inside of his hand that you just slot into the sword, and you close his thumb up around it, and he can hold his sword. And you know, that's a pretty solid connection, even though I knocked it right out. Like, if you don't play with it too much, he holds it just fine. Like, you pick him up and shake him, and that sword's not going anywhere. So yeah, with that said, let's get him into before we go over the articulation, let's go over size comparisons, which is where I kinda wish I didn't do the whole record before being prepared thing, but here he is next to Evasion Mode Optimus Prime. Yes, I realize I still need to get a review out of him, and you can't even see him! There's Evasion Prime, there's AOE Leader, you know, there are those two. It's not bad, per se. But, I mean, you know, like, it could be worse. But, you know, we all know Evasion Mode Optimus was just made to appeal to the G-Winers. Now, I'm going to end up having to get in camera view because he's actually quite a ways away. Come here, big guy. Come here. Next up, taking Evasion out of the shot, here we have the comparison I pretty much wanted to do. Revenge of the Fallen Leader next to Age of Extinction Leader. Now, as you can see, Age of Extinction is a much smaller figure. I mean, like, let's just get pretty much the dead obvious out of the way. AOE Optimus is not nearly as large and imposing as the Revenge of the Fallen, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I feel as if his smaller size makes him easier to put on a shelf, whereas the Revenge of the Fallen, I still have trouble finding a spot for him on the shelf sometimes. Even though, like, I pulled him off the shelf, like, right up there. So that was a bit of a pain in the neck. But yeah, it's a really, really nice looking robot. Especially when you're, like, even though, like, let's face it, there's a lot more panels to him than there are to him. But as far as, like, as a collector's piece, you're gonna like this a lot more. But as an actual toy, I have to give it to the Age of Extinction Leader. Why? Because 1, he's a lot easier to transform. 2, he has the really neat leg transformation. That's a lot of fun. 3, he's not held down by, like, he doesn't have electronics forced into him, where I feel if there wasn't any electronics in him, he would be a perfect figure. Which, there's so much to go over with these two, but not a lot of time. But yeah, you know, that's just my opinion. So yeah, let's get him out of the shot. And, you know, get back in close, so we can get a look at his articulation. Articulation-wise, as we saw with the head pop, his head's on a ball joint. These pieces move around on the 2 hinges. His ratcheted shoulders all the way. An elbow swivel. A ratcheted elbow. To my own surprise, he has a waist joint, which is not as movable as I would have liked, but, you know, whatever. Movable, posable. He has ratcheted hips. A knee, like, he swivels at the knee. He bends at the knee. That's a really decent ratcheted knee bend. And he's got the weirdest freaking ball jointed ankle ever. Because the ball joint is actually not anywhere in here. It's all the way back here. Which, for natural standing poses, it looks okay. But when you want to splay his feet out a little bit, it looks as if you broke his foot. So that's a little bit of a weird thing. all in all, I feel like we have a winner here. Is he better than Revenge of the Fallen Leader? No. Let's just get that out of the way. He's not better than Revenge of the Fallen Leader. But is he better than the first edition AOE leader figure? Yes. And why is that? The only visible chrome in robot mode is the pipes and the chest. Just little enhancements on the chest. That's it. The first edition leader for AOE, for Optimus, that thing was covered in chrome, and I hated the way it looked. Which is why I didn't go nuts trying to get it. But, at least we got a better figure in the long run for the retail release. So with all this said, I pretty much covered way more in just a really straightforward review, not doing anything special for it, than I did in basically an actual full-on, I'm covering everything with an intro. Because I tend to forget a lot of stuff because I focus so much on the intro, I completely forgot what I was trying to do for the review. So here is a review where it's just straightforward. It's back to what I originally used to do. Just record it and then put it straight to YouTube. Leave a couple comments down below, guys. Tell me what you think. Would you rather see the intros, whether they're funny or stupid, or would you rather me just stick to putting the figure in front of the camera, turning it on, and giving you a show? Let me know. With all this said, this is BC saying stay nerdy and get your geek on. I will catch you guys next time. Bye.